Hi, this is Steve Rybrook from Ledgeview Partners, and this video is to give you a demonstration of our CRM that was designed for lubricant marketers. I'm going to try to give you a complete demonstration. Normally this takes about 90 minutes to 2 hours if I'm doing this for a client, but I'm going to go in speed mode, if you will, and try to cover just as many features as I can in this video. Our CRM for oil and gas is powered by Microsoft Dynamics 365. So what we did is we took Dynamics 365 and we customized it for the lubricant and fuel distribution industry. So just a little background on Ledgeview real quick. We are a business and technology consulting company, and we partner with organizations to help transform sales, marketing, customer service operations, and processes. And we do that with supported technologies, including customer relationship management, CRM, and marketing automation. So that's a little background on Ledgeview. Today, we're going to focus on this CRM for oil and gas. So again, we started with Dynamics 365, and we've customized it over many, many years to build it so it's all ready for you to work for your business. So we do have a bit of an agenda here. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about each of these as I go through the agenda. I'm going to spend more time demonstrating, but I do want to make sure, item number one here, that we're all familiar with the difference between what I would call a vanilla CRM versus an industry solution. So we deal with many, many industries and many, many customers who simply purchase CRM. It could be Salesforce, it could be the Microsoft Dynamics CRM, and then we work with them and we help design a system for them, and then we get developers involved and we develop it, and ultimately they get exactly what they want. There's a big process involved, and that's one approach. The other approach is this industry solution. So this is where we come into play, where we've already done the design, we've already done the customization. So that's all we have to do is configure the system to look and feel like you want it to look and feel, get the data integration going, and you're up and running. So we can save a lot of time going that route. So I'm going to be spending today here explaining the industry solution that we have. So real quick agenda. I am going to talk about data integration. I'll cover a little bit of that now, and I'll cover a little bit more as I show you. But data integration is a big piece to this system. Tying into your back office is real important because we want to expose that data to the CRM users. So some of the examples of some files that we integrate with, some of these are optional, some of them are required, but your accounts, we want to bring over your customers into CRM, the products that you sell, your invoice data that we call order history. So what have your customers been buying? If there are any notes associated with an account in your accounting system, we can bring them over. If you have some generic price lists, we can bring them over and have them in CRM. If you have customer specific pricing, that can be right at your fingertips in CRM. And then the last one is product balances. If you want to know what you have on hand of all your inventory items at your warehouses, again, it's a couple clicks away within CRM. So a couple reasons that this data integration is so important is I'm a big believer in one version of the truth. So I don't want anybody to have to replicate data from one system to another. Not only isn't that efficient, but you might have one system say one thing and another system say something else. So efficiency, one version of the truth, making that data transparent to all the users so they have easy access to it. Hopefully they'll now have access to this information and be able to make quicker decisions. One of the things I find is this is very helpful if you or your team have little to no access to your accounting system, if you're always calling people to get information. All right, a couple more things here, then I'll flow through the rest of this agenda and get into it. Last thing I want to point out before I get into this is this concept of a parent and child relationship. So many of our customers have accounts or customers that have multiple locations. So we can just bring over each individual customer, and that works fine, but many of our clients take advantage of this option where you can actually bring over each ship to as a separate account. That's a teeny bit more work, but the beauty of that is now you can actually manage down to the ship to level. Did a ship to stop buying? Is there opportunity to get more business out of a ship to? And all of that can be rolled up to see how the overall customer or parent is doing. So that's that. These are the things I'm going to cover as I get into this, besides some of these other things, besides the integration and this relationship you'll see. But feature to help you find out if you've lost a customer, lost an account. There's a suggestive sell feature I want to talk about. Tracking competitor information, competitor share of wallet, what we have for goals versus actual. Pipeline management is obviously a big feature in CRM. We've got a nice gap to goal feature. I'll do a quick overview of what you can do to generate a quote. We talked about those product balances already. I want to show you that. I'll run a couple reports. I'm not going to run all of them, but I just want to show you some of the reports we have. The equipment tracking feature, fuel price notification, territory management, and then we'll wrap up with just a little, you know what, I'm going to cover this one right now. Activities and notes. You'll probably see a little bit of that as I go through the demonstration, but activities and notes are very powerful, where activities, you can keep track of what you've done for an account and what you need to do. So if you, maybe you're working on a prospect and you find out that they're under contract for 2 more years. Well, you can put an activity out there, basically a reminder for yourself that's due in maybe a year and a half, tied to that account, that prospect account, with all your little notes, all your information, and date it a year and a half from now. And when that activity comes due, it'll pop up, and that'll be your reminder to go and maybe, check in with the client, see how things are going, and hopefully, get their business when their contract expires. And then when you're done with that activity, you can mark it complete. So you have a history of all these activities. Just a great way to be very efficient using CRM. Notes is just a great way to capture any electronic documents that you have that you want to attach to an account. So if there's any ROI calculations you did on a spreadsheet, or any lease agreements or credit apps, if you want all that stored in one place, CRM is a great place to store all that information. I'm looking at an account right here called Fairview Manufacturing. And one of the things you'll notice is a lot of the fields on here are actually locked. And that's part of the data integration. You'll see that this account actually has an account number. That means it's set up in your accounting system. I really don't want anybody changing anything in here. If you find anything that's locked that is incorrect, we want that changed at the source, which would be your accounting system. So let's say this industry was wrong, or their address was wrong by a little bit. You fix that in the accounting system, and our integration matches things up each night. So tomorrow morning, it would then be corrected in CRM. If this was a prospect account, so there wouldn't even be an account number in here, then you're completely free to do whatever you want to any of these fields. That's just wide open then. All right, so what else is on here? I'm just going to kind of scroll down. Here's basic account information, so name and address, nothing special here. But one of the features that's kind of nice is this section where there's just an optional section for any dollar figure that you feel is important from your accounting system that you'd like available in CRM. So it can be pretty much anything you want. What I see a lot of our customers do is bring over AR information, such as how much do they owe us, how much is current, how much is past due. Looks like we got a little creative here. Was, when was their last payment and how much was it and what was their highest balance? So we can talk about this when we work together on the project, but all of those are optional. I'm going to jump into a way to kind of look at another integration file. So up here on the top of the screen here is a way for us to navigate to any records or any data that's related to this account. So one of the things that's real popular is this order history. So think of this as every line item on an invoice for a customer. So it's not a pretty picture of an invoice, but this is going to give me some good information. So what it does is it lists every time the customer bought a product, and we're showing you it in descending order. So right here, this first line here would be the last time that they bought something, what they purchased, how much they paid, what was the cost, what was the volume, what was the revenue it produced, and what was the gross profit. And keep in mind, this is all test data. That particular one I have highlighted probably doesn't make sense with the cost and whatnot. We just threw in some test data here. So great opportunity to just kind of get some answers to questions that come up. You know, when's the last time somebody bought something? How much did they pay for it? What products are they buying? All right here. If I jump back to the main form for this account, I can just show you a few other things. So we take that data, that order history data, and we summarize it for you right here on the main account screen, looking at the most recent 12 months, and we summarize it by product. So there's just one line per product, and it's going to show me the product I bought the most of down to the product I bought the least of. We also show you the revenue that that product brought in for the last 12 months for this account, the gross profit, and then the last time that they ordered. One of the things that's going to be added to this grid in our next release is we're doing more analysis on what we're calling profit per unit. You might think of it as profit per gallon. And so we're going to add a column here and on a lot of other reports that show that, so you can not only just analyze how much gross profit you're getting, but how much profit you're getting per unit or per gallon in most cases. All right, 12-month summary. So I'm showing you a lot of data. Some folks are a little bit more graphical, so we do have a few charts associated with the account. This particular one I'm showing you, you can analyze gross profit, revenue, or units. And what this is showing, again, based on my test data, these charts look very familiar. The numbers are just a little bit different, but what this is looking at is, so far this fiscal year, how am I doing compared to the same time period last fiscal year? And over here, I'm looking at the most current 12 months versus the prior 12 months. So great way to just get a snapshot of if a customer is doing better or worse based on gross profit, revenue, or volume or units. And then we also break them charts down by what we call product segment. And these are all very configurable. It's really however you group your products, we can show you if this customer is buying more or less of each product segment that's in your system. So that's that. The other thing that I wanted to point out is another data integration feature. So we've already covered the importance of bringing over your accounts, your products that you sell, your order history data. Another one that's kind of nice, a few of our customers do, is if you have specific pricing set up for customers, if you send that over to CRM, that's just a couple clicks away. So I'm looking at this account, like if this customer bought something today, what is the price that they're set up for in your accounting system? So this would just list all the products this customer is set up on and what their price would be. And again, we just made up some numbers, but very simple way to just look to say, hey, what if somebody bought it today, what would they pay? All right, getting back to that main account screen, another feature I want to point out, I think I mentioned, you know, we try to help you see if you might maybe have lost an account. So one of the things that we added is this very simple feature called estimated days between orders. So you've got a little bit of work here if you want to use this feature. You can analyze each of your accounts that you care about, look at their buying pattern, and put in a number here. So let's say this customer orders maybe every 3 weeks or so. I might want to get a little warning if they ever go over 23 days, you know, and they haven't ordered. So you do this, every account might have a different number here, so it's individual by account. But then once or twice a week, you might want to go into CRM, hopefully you're in CRM every day, and go into one of our dashboards. And I'm just going to pull up that dashboard, and that's basically a list that you want to be empty, but this is a list of all the accounts that have gone beyond what you thought their estimated days between orders was. So in the case of this Fairview Manufacturing, they order, you said every 23 days. Well, it looks like it had been 34 days because they're 11 days overdue. So you might want to give them a call and see what's going on. Another feature, if I kind of jump back to the account screen, and I'll just show you some of the shortcuts here. I could search for Fairview, but what's kind of nice is the system keeps track of your most recently viewed. So I was just on that. So just a click away, and I'm back to Fairview Manufacturing. Another thing that we've added is this concept of suggestive sell. if I click that button, what the system does is it looks at what the customer's buying, looks at what they're not buying, and then it looks at a little setup that we would have done with you that only takes probably half an hour, where you kind of map your product segments against each other. Because in your industry, most of the time, if customers buy, let's say, this product segment, they also buy this other product segment. So maybe I'll just make something up here. If customers buy grease, they also buy coolant. So you would map that. Once you set up that little matrix, because we have all this data, we can look at what the customer is buying, not buying, look at your matrix, and then we can suggest that you talk to them. And in this case, you should talk to Fairview Manufacturing about additives and your automotive line. It looks like we also have an area for you to record some notes here. It looks like they're under contract, and I don't really want to talk to them again about additives until July of 2020. But maybe I want to talk to them about additives. I don't have any little notes in here. So just a nice little feature to help you, maybe let the system help you recognize some potential share of wallet opportunity. So that's that. Moving on, we talked about tracking competitor information. So we've got this share of wallet competitor button. This is a way, as you learn more about a prospect or a customer, you want to kind of do a brain dump in the system. So you can click this button, and it goes kind of like this. I'm just going to say that we've got a prospect or an active customer here who's buying some of their lubricants, and specifically, let's say they're buying their grease from this competitor. And based on what I learned from the customer, you know, if I had that business, that might be, you know, 10 grand in revenue, 2 grand in gross profit, because we're talking, you know, 5,000 units. I just made up some numbers. And if I hit add competitor, that's going to store that information. If I wanted to go after that business right now, you know, sometimes there's just no opportunity right now, but if there was, I have enough information to actually create an opportunity. I could check this box before I hit add competitor, and then I could just go after that business. But if I just wanted to track this data for now, I just hit add competitor. And then what it does is it takes all the times you've done that, and if I scroll down to the bottom of the screen here, there's a section that's showing me that. So now if it's months later, years later, or somebody else gets this account, we can easily tell where this customer is buying their diesel and their grease and their antifreeze. So that's just kind of a nice way to track that. Another nice benefit of doing this is on a dashboard. I can go over into our dashboards again, and let's say something happened to one of your competitors. They got bought out, they went out of business, they lost half their sales team. If you've been, you know, religiously recording this competitor share wallet information, now we have some charts that show you this data, like how much gross profit is out there waiting that your competitors now have. And what I can easily do, if let's say, I don't know, Halloway here is just got bought out, I can easily drill into this data. So I've got this chart over here. I've got this data over on the left, all that stuff I've been recording. I can just click on Halloway. And here's a list of all the competitor information that we recorded for Halloway. All these customers or prospects are buying from them. So if they're going out of business, wouldn't it be great to have this information at my fingertips? Get the sales team together. Let's create some opportunities, and let's go after it while the getting is good. All right. So that's competitor share of wallet. Let's talk about goals versus actual while I'm in here. So some great tracking in the system. We are automatically going to get your actuals because we're tied into your accounting system. But the thing that we don't have is your goals. So there's a whole process to go through a spreadsheet and fill out your goals, and then you import them. There's a feature. You just have to hit a couple buttons. It's a little wizard to load your goals. And then you can go in and use some of our dashboards to compare goals to actual. So this is looking at gross profit. You can also look at volume. I can look at this year or last year. So what this is doing is the blue bar is showing me how I'm actually doing, and those 4 circles are the quarterly goals I set. So by the end of the year, I want to be past this top circle. And it looks like from a company perspective, look, I'm there, you know, woohoo. But I can also drill into this. I'll do this kind of quick. We drill into this by department, and these are all configurable. So we'll get your department set up in here. And boy, yeah, I was doing good as a company, but fuel crushed it. Lubricants didn't do so well. I could drill into lubricants, and we break that down by product category. I can drill even deeper and go to product segments. And I can go one step deeper and go down to the salesperson level. So these are the sales folks who've helped contribute to our lubricant, Chevron, grease business. I can even go one step further, and I don't get really a chart here. I get more like a grid, if you will, of all of the accounts that helped Steve get his lubricant, Chevron, grease, gross profit. And it's showing me my Steve's best customer down to his worst customer from a gross profit perspective. Okay, so that's that. I'll just scroll down a little bit. We also keep track of the share of wallet, so the business growth that you've had with your existing customers, and then any brand new customers you've had, goal versus actual. All right, so that's looking at things from more of a company perspective. From a sales manager perspective, maybe you want to see how the sales team is doing. So instead of starting out at the company level, let's start out at the salesperson level, again, with that same drill down, the same charts, gross profit versus or units, and then the same chart, share of wallet and new business. And then finally, because we want things to be transparent, your sales team should have access to Dashboard 8, which is my scorecard. So you set a goal for me. I want to be able to go into CRM to see how I'm doing compared to my goal. So this is just down to the user level here. All right, goals versus actual, very powerful. Let's keep things transparent. Let's get some measurement done, and let's get some things done. All right, moving on to pipeline management. Boy, there's a lot to cover today. So we're just going to jump over to sales and opportunities. And I just have a list of opportunities here. I'll just grab this first one to show you what one looks like, but this is just a list of my open opportunities. So that's basically my pipeline. When you open up an opportunity, there's things in here like sales stages. That's real important to keep track of where you are in the sales process. So as you learn more about what a customer, once you've qualified the opportunity, you start meeting with them, right? Then you're in needs and solutions. You're finding out what they need. Once you figure that out, you put together probably some type of presentation, maybe a proposal, a quote, and then you move over to the presentation stage. Then you hopefully at some point they say, yes, I want to do business with you. So you move them over here to activate and transition. And then once the credit app gets processed and they start buying from you, they place their first order, you can close this as a win. So all along, you're updating how big of a deal you think this is, when you think you're going to close this deal, any comments you want to put in here, all good stuff to keep track of on your pipeline. And one of the things you want to be real cautious on is this estimated close date, because our system does a lot with that date and your fiscal year. And we do some prorated calculations so we can help you determine how close you are to hitting your goals. I'll talk about gap to goal in a little bit here. All right, so that's one individual opportunity. Obviously, you're managing all of them. I'll just show you a few of the dashboards that we have. I'm not going to be able to go into all of them here today. But back to dashboards, I think last time I counted, we had 12 dashboards on opportunities. So a real simple one, how many opportunities do I have out there, right? By the month they were created, by department, and by person. And so these are those that are open. Now let's kind of take a look at those that we closed in the last 12 months. How many wins and losses did we have by month? How many wins and losses did we have over the last 12 months by department? And then how about by person? How's my sales team doing? So this is a nice feature. Another set of charts we have is to maybe analyze the gross profits that's in the pipeline. So how much gross profit is sitting in my pipeline by department, by person? And then here's what most people think of when they think of their pipeline, right? What's in the funnel? The other thing that's kind of nice, I showed you this earlier, but I'm just going to take a deeper dive into this, is you can drill into the data. I want to make sure you get the answers you want. So, charts are pretty and all, but sometimes it triggers a question. So maybe I'm wondering, what is in sales stage 4? What are we ready to close here? And I could click on this, and it changes the full list of opportunities down to just the list of opportunities that are in sales stage 4. Maybe this is still too big of a list. I can easily, just with a couple clicks, say something like, well, show me those opportunities, make another chart by person. So how much does each salesperson have in the pipeline in sales stage 4? And then, boy, I see Steve has a lot. I could click on that, and it breaks it down just to the 6 opportunities that Steve has in sales stage, 4 in the pipeline. All right, so that's a great way to interact with the data. I think just 2 more. I'll show you. Let's see. Here's one that just shows you a little bit of trending. So looking back at our won opportunities, how much, in this case, I think this is volume. How much volume did I win? Again, regular volume and then prorated by month, looking back at the last 12 months. What does the next 90 days look like? So how many opportunities do I have in the pipeline? How much of that, again, this is volume, how much of that is in each stage? So you can see what stage you have. And so just kind of looking out 90 days, what do you kind of foresee happening? And then looking back again at the last 12 months of all the opportunities you created, how many opportunities did you create each month? And then how much volume or units were associated with those opportunities? Right. One last one to help you keep an eye on your pipeline. We want the pipeline to be as accurate as possible. So we've got this dashboard 2H, which you actually hope this comes up blank, because this is showing me any opportunities that have a bad estimated close date. How many opportunities haven't been touched in at least 30 days? How many opportunities have been stuck in a sales stage for 45 days? How many opportunities have the team coded as fallback, right? They're just not moving. So hopefully this is a little bit cleaner than my example one is. All right, so pipeline management, pretty good stuff. All right, moving over to our gap to goal feature. Really exciting feature we added recently. You have the ability to go in and tell the system what gap to goal analysis do I want the system to run every night. And or you can have it run every week, it doesn't matter. And it'll scrunch all the numbers, so then every day or every week, and anytime you care to look, you'll have this nice screen you can look at that just kind of shows you how close you are to hitting your goal. So you can run this for your overall company. You could run it for a department. You could run it for a salesperson. You could run it for a salesperson within a department. So this is just a configuration. I'm not going to get into every single option here, but the end result is the system just scrunches data every night or every week to give these results. So whenever you go look, you'll have it. And I've been playing around the last few days, so I've got some data that's not super great. So I'm going to find something. I think I had some pretty good stuff out there back on the 13th. And I had some good analysis for how is Steve doing in the lubricants department. And I can open this up. And what this does is this is just a screen that ultimately I could jump right down to the bottom here and just look at these 2 numbers. Basically this number. Steve needs to get 40 more opportunities added to his pipeline to hit his goal. That's the answer. How did I get there? I looked at things like how many days are left in the year. I looked at Steve's lubricant win rate. I looked at how many months are left in the year. I looked at how's he doing so far this year? How much volume did he bring in? How much does he bring in on a daily basis? Based on how many days are left in the year, what do I predict he's going to do? I looked at his pipeline. And then again, based on his win rate, what is his volume possibility? Then I looked at his goal and I compared it to what I think he's going to do. And so I've got a little bit of a difference here. And here's how far he's only, like, based on all of this, he's only going to hit 70% of his goal. So we have a problem. So we look at the gap. We do some more analysis looking back again at based on his win rate, he's got to get a lot of volume in his pipeline. Here's his average deal size. And so he needs 40 more opportunities to hit his goal. Just a great tool to have in front of a person. And if you're a manager, to help coach a person, everybody should have access to this information. And you don't have to spend any time calculating it. Let the system do it. So gap to goal, really powerful. All right, kind of moving back to the sales process, I wanted to show you that we do have a quote feature. So when you're working in an opportunity, you might want to crank out a quote for somebody. Our quotes are very data driven. So you enter a lot of data. So I've got one all set up here. A lot of this gets filled in right from your opportunity. But ultimately, I want to pick a lot of products, set some prices. And when I'm all done, really, we take that data and you can run a report of that data. And what you'll see on here is something that you could either export to a PDF and email it to the customer. You could print it right from here if you wanted to, but ultimately, I mean, I haven't finalized this one yet, so it's still in a draft status, but it's just a quote with basic information about the customer, about the salesperson. Here's basically the guts of it, right? Products and prices. A little bit of a disclaimer on the bottom. That's about it. This is our logo, right? But we would replace this with your logo, and away you'd go. So a couple things that are nice about this is that, again, it's data driven, so you don't have to worry about people scribbling stuff wrong, right? You have specific product numbers involved, and it's consistent, right? It's consistent across your organization. This is how our quotes look. So there you go. Quotes. One of the things we talked about from a data integration scene is we were just on talking about products. I could, if I wanted to see how much we had on hand of something, a couple different ways to do this. I'm just going to jump over to products, and I'm just going to do a search for one of them that I actually added some balances to just before I set up this webinar. So here's a product that I know. So this basic information about a product. If I had some price list, it would show me each price list and what the price was for this product on each of my price lists. But if I wanted to see what I have on hand, just a click away, I can look at, let's see, where are you? Product balances right here. So what this is going to do is show me all my locations and show me how much we have on hand, if there's any on order from the supplier, any that the customer has on order, any the customer has on back order, so the total that's committed, and ultimately what's available for us to sell. So all of this would come from your accounting system. All right, quick overview on reports. We have lots of reports in the system. I definitely cannot run all of them today. I think I'll just grab 2 of them. I think we've got like 31 reports analyzing customers, analyzing products, analyzing your sales team, analyzing variances, analyzing trending, goal versus actual reports. So lots of reports. These reports, we started with a few, and then with just feedback from customers, right? We just keep adding reports. So let's just run a ranking report here real quick. So what we've been asked by a lot of customers is, hey, I sure would like to see my customers, show my best customer down to my worst customer. I'm going to skip this filter screen for a minute and just run the report. It asks me, if you want to rank them, how do you want to rank them? By gross profit, by revenue, or volume? I'll just say gross profit. And here we go. So this is going to get a list of all our customers, and then it's going to show me the customers with the highest gross profit down to the lowest gross profit. And then it shows the percentage that they've contributed and then a running percentage. Now, you know what? What's kind of cool about that filter screen is I just see that this report is so distorted. Oh yeah, all my fuel customers are in here. I just care about lubricants. So I can go back to this edit filter and I can just add a little rule. This screen does seem a little bit intimidating, but after 5 or 10 minutes, you'll get it. You basically pick a field and make a rule. And I only want lubricants. So now when I run this report and I say I want this ranked by gross profit, I'm going to get a whole different looking report. Probably makes a little bit more sense for the person who's in charge of lubricants, right? A list of customers, how much gross profit they've contributed, and it's highest to lowest. We also have a running total here of gross profit. So basically we just add up each line as we're going, and then the percentage they contributed, and then that running percentage we talked about earlier. So if you only want your top 50 or 60 or 70%, when you get to the line where this says, 60 or 70%, just stop reading, right? You don't need to review the report anymore, but we're going to give you everything. All right, so that's one example report. I think I'll just quick show you one more. Maybe you want to analyze your sales team. So how are they doing this year, maybe compared to last year? So a salesperson growth report, and I know my data in here over the last 2 years probably isn't the cleanest. So let's just take a look at this report. So let's look at from January of 17 through, let's say, March of 17, same time period in 18. And I could analyze my overall business, my share wallet, or my new. I could pick one department or multiple or all. I'm just going to let her rip. So this is going to take tons and tons of data and give me a very short report, right? It's a salesperson growth report. So one line per salesperson. So here's my sales team looking at gross profit. How did they do the prior period that I picked versus the current period? And what's the variance? Oh, and look, I've got a bad date in here. So let's go back and fix this date and run this report again. If it recalculates, that's great. I don't want to waste your time, but you can kind of get it. It's going to be the difference between the current and prior period. So rather than wait for that to refresh, oh, there it is. Yeah, I did have some data in 2018. It looks like, you know, Steve, my gross profit went up a little bit and my volume went way up. Again, I've been obviously throwing a lot of data in here, but really nice report to analyze your sales team. Real simple. You're in charge of the time period you care about and the departments and the data that you care. So, all right, that's reports. Equipment tracking is another feature I promised I would talk about. So equipment tracking is a way for you to keep track of all your equipment. So there's like 3 pieces involved here. We need to know your customers, which we have, your accounts. You need to set up all your equipment. So once you get that in, you're good. And then the third piece is really just tie in the equipment to an account. So here I'll just kind of highlight one. So in this particular case, Fairview Manufacturing had this 200-gallon tank. We loaned it to them back in 2012, and they still have it. I'm actually just going to open this up, because another feature that some of our customers take advantage of, especially for tanks, it doesn't have to be a tank, but if it is, you can actually put in the product that they promised to put in the tank, and then if they did agree to some type of annual commitment, you could enter that, and then there's a dashboard that actually would show you who's not meeting their commitments, because we have all the data, right? We have your accounts, we have your invoice, your order history data, so we can easily tell you who's not meeting their commitments. The other thing that's kind of nice about this is if I'm just going to link over to this tank, because this is all tied together. So the other nice thing about it is it kind of shows a history of where that tank was, you know, over time. You know, it was here for a couple of weeks, it was here for a year, and then it ended up here at Fairview, and that's where it was. And then the beauty of it is if I link over to Fairview, kind of the opposite is true. I can look at Fairview and say, what is all the equipment that's associated with Fairview? So this is all the equipment they either have or did have at their location. So if there's no end date, they still have it. If we took it back or it got destroyed, right, we'd fill in the end date. So really cool tool to help with your equipment tracking. Fuel price notification. If you're into the fuel industry, I'll make this quick because not all of you are, but if you want to get your prices in front of your customers, I'll kind of go back to Fairview here again. The concept is once a day you would enter a base price. You set up your customers who you want to get an email every day with a fuel price. Then you set up the products that they care about, and then a markup or a margin from your base price. And then, as you know, with CRM, you maintain contacts. Each of these contacts can be coded with yes, they get the email, or no, they don't. So basically, you pick the customer, the account that you want to send the price notification to, basically how the system calculates the price, and then who gets the email. And then once a day, somebody enters a few prices, and they hit the send button, and it goes out. It could be hundreds and hundreds of accounts, and builds all these emails and blasts them out to everybody. All right, kind of a nice feature. All right, I think I'm going to wrap up because we talked about activities, notes, and contacts already. My last touch point is just one last dashboard called Territory Management, which is a way to plot your accounts or leads on a map. I'm not going to show you every single option in there because there's a few of them. I'll talk about them, but I think I'll just only show you one. So we let you plot your accounts or leads from any view that you created. That gets a little bit more sophisticated. You got to make a view, and then you can plot the results on a map. Or the easier way to do it is say, hey, I'm going to go visit an account. Show me all my customers who are near that account. So while I'm there, maybe I can visit some other customers. Or if I'm going to go visit a lead, show me everybody who's near that lead. Or real simple, I can just enter an address. So I'll just do something real simple like, hey, I'm going to be up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Show me all my accounts and leads within 20 miles of Green Bay, Wisconsin. I'm just going to show that on a map. And there you go. The circles represent accounts or leads. This little legend over here kind of tells you what the colors are. So you've got customers, prospects, leads, all those things on here. And if I hover over a circle, I can just click on it. It tells me a little bit about that account, and I can actually jump right to that account record from here and get all that information I need and maybe schedule an appointment. I can do that from here as well. If I click the circle again, it goes away. So anyway, just kind of a nice tool. If you want a little bit more real estate, you can hit this hide controls button and it just kind of hides those. And now you got a bigger map here. All right, territory management. Whew, we covered a lot today. I am going to try to flip over to the PowerPoint and wrap this up for you all. If you like what you saw, if you want to take a deeper dive, we would love to talk to you. Jean is your contact person. Here's Jean. Here's her email address and phone number. So please reach out to her if you want to take a deeper dive or if you have any questions at all. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day.